So as you can see from the title of the video, this is going to be kind of going over my first year in film photography. I uploaded my first YouTube video last September, I think it was September 1st, and about 2 weeks before that I had just started shooting film, and I just wanted to make a video just kind of recapping the first year, answer some questions, and just talk about some thoughts and musings about what I've learned in the past year. So I'm not going to try to cut this a lot. I just have some questions and some notes on my phone that I'm going to go over. And it's probably going to be a pretty long video, but I will timestamp everything if you're looking for anything specifically, or if you just want to throw it on in the background, that's perfectly fine too. One of the first questions was what got me first interested in film, and I actually came across a photo on a photography subreddit by Trevor Dalton, and it was actually taken on Cinestill 800T, and that's what kind of piqued my interest at first. It was shot on a Fuji GW690, and I knew nothing about film at the time. I never thought about shooting film, and I was just reading the comments, and people were talking about negative sizes and how cool Cinestill is and how you can't really get that effect with digital unless you add it in. And that kind of got me interested at the very beginning. And actually about a week later after that, I got on eBay and I actually purchased a GW690. That was going to be my first film camera. And I quickly discovered that you only get 10 shots with that camera, or 9 or 10, whatever it was, or it might have been 8. And I knew that wasn't going to be enough for me, so I purchased a Mamiya 645, and that was my first film camera. So I never really shot 35 millimeter. I shot a couple rolls because my girlfriend's grandfather gave me his camera, and I've never personally owned a 35 millimeter camera except for that one, but I just don't really like the format. It's just not detailed enough for me, and it takes me so long to get through a roll of 35 millimeter that I just don't find it worth it personally. So I've always shot medium format. I started with 645 and then I went up to 6x7, and now I shoot 6x7 and 4x5. And I think those are the best film formats for me because they go together really well. There's not much difference between 6x7 and large format 4x5. So at the time of starting my film journey per se, I think I had 30 something subscribers on YouTube. I didn't post anything, and pretty much all I wanted to do with the YouTube thing was document my journey, as well as try to inform people along the way that it's okay to make mistakes and things like that. I just wanted to be honest with people and show the ups and downs of starting a career in film photography. And I'm not saying that I have a career because I make very little money with film. Most, if not all, of my income comes from shooting wedding videos. But I just wanted to make a really honest video about the ups and downs of learning to shoot film, because I learned pretty much everything I know from YouTube and podcasts and things like that, and specifically free resources. I don't think you should ever pay for anything until you've pretty much exhausted the resources that you have at your disposal. Things like YouTube, podcasts, online forums, things like that. You should not pay for anything, especially from someone that is either just starting or has only been in photography for a couple years. I don't think they know enough to warrant getting paid to give people information. And I think that's just an easy way to go about it, is just to pay for something and have someone spoon feed it to you. And I just don't think that's the right way to learn, specifically for me. So I wanted to make a channel that just details it very honestly and try to be a refreshing change of pace with the YouTube film community. And then it kind of led into doing analog artisans and stuff like that, because I realized that I needed to have some type of calling card with my channel, because I'm not the most energetic, and I don't have the biggest personality, things like that. So I wanted something to set me apart, and I think I found that with analog artisans, and I think I'm finally finding my groove with the whole YouTube thing. There was a question about film influencing my personal life, and I think it has greatly influenced it, for better and worse. For better, I think I'm just more observant of things around me. Specifically at the beginning when I was first started shooting, because I was taking way more photos than I take now, and I just found myself wanting to go to new places and find different things to shoot, and I'm still like that, but I shoot a lot less, so I'm not that adventurous, I guess. And personally, it just makes me more interested in the people around me and wanting to hear their stories, more so with the analog artisans, because I'm always on the lookout for people that do different things and have a story to tell. So I think that has definitely impacted me greatly. On the bad side, it's literally the only thing I think about. I've found myself putting off actual paying like wedding gigs to do YouTube videos and to shoot photos. And that's not a bad thing until it gets in the way of you making money, or it puts the clients that are paying for your services on the back burner. And I'm definitely working on that, and it is getting better, but I'm trying to balance between the two. And it's just hard because I like shooting photography so much. And at the time when I didn't have photography, my creative outlet was actually weddings, and I kind of got burnt out doing weddings. And the good thing is I found film photography, so now my creative outlet is film, and now I look at my wedding video and photography business as just that, a business. So I think that's a good thing, but it definitely could be a problem if I let it get in the way too much. So I think that's the good and bad of influencing my personal life. So these next couple questions are going to be about large format, and I have two cameras right here, the Intrepid and then the Speed Graphic. Someone had a specific question about lens boards and Copal sizes. So basically you have a lens board on the Intrepid right here, and this takes a Linhof or a Technica style lens board, and each lens board is going to have a different Copal size. You're going to have Copal 0, Copal 1, and Copal 3, and 0 is the smallest and 3 is the biggest. So basically when you buy a lens, it's going to say on here, like this one specifically says Copal number 1, and then this one is a little bit smaller. So this is going to say Copal number 0. So basically when you buy a lens, you're going to look for that, what Copal shutter it is, and basically you'll just buy a board that corresponds to that. So this was a Copal number 0. I bought a Technica or a Linhof style Copal 0 board, and it just attaches right on there like that. And then this is a Copal number 1, so I bought a Copal number 1 board, and you just attach it. I'm not going to take this apart, but you basically just unscrew this part, and I'm not going to take this apart, but basically you just unscrew this, all of it comes apart, and it has a little retaining ring, and you just tighten that up and you just fit it to the board. Simple as that. A good portrait lens for a Speed Graphic, it's kind of going to go hand in hand with the Intrepid or a Speed Graphic, but I really like the 210mm lens for portraits. It's kind of the equivalent of the 105 on the Pentax 6.7, so you can do full body stuff and you can do headshots. And I really like the look because if you shoot head on, it doesn't really, it compresses the face really well. So if you take a photo, the whole face is going to be in focus if you get it the right distance. I've noticed with the 150mm lens, if you do a headshot, the nose might be out of focus, especially if you shoot wide open. And you can always stop down to kind of counteract that, but I like to shoot wide open. So with the 210 shooting wide open, more of the face is in focus, which is really nice, and it's just an overall really sharp lens. And you can use it for full body stuff and get that nice separation. And if you get far back enough, you can really do some good environmental portraits, stuff like that. So I think 210 is a good starting point for a portrait lens. It's super cheap and it's just going to be a good overall lens. Another question was how I go about shooting strangers, and I'm going to throw some pictures up on the screen about this guy Ken that I met. And basically I was doing a project where I was photographing people and their old classic cars, because I just got tired of shooting the same pictures of cars over and over, and I wanted to not only take pictures of the cars, but I wanted to take pictures of the owners of the cars. And I started that little project, and I'm still kind of doing it, and when I go out and see a car, I want to get a portrait of the owner as well, because I just think that there's more of a story to that. So I was driving around the other day and I saw a car in this guy's garage. So I just went up to the door and knocked on the door, and you just have to be honest with them and tell them exactly what you're there for, and don't like beat around the bush or anything. Just say you're a photographer, you're wanting to take a picture of the car, and it would also be nice to get a portrait of them while you're there. And he's super nice. Pretty much everyone that I talk to is super nice, and they just want to talk about why they have the car and some stories of the car. And when I shot with the Intrepid, you just have to tell them that it's going to take a little bit of time to set up, and you can set it up and they can go do whatever they want, and you can go grab them when you're ready to go. And that's basically what I did. I told him he could go inside and just continue on with his day, but he decided to sit out in a chair and just watch me set up, and we chatted a little bit, and it was perfectly cool. He's a super nice guy, and I just pulled him over and I shot on the Intrepid first, and then I told him that I was going to take some pictures on the Pentax as well. And I asked him if his wife wanted to come out, so we got a picture of him and his wife, and it was super cool. And I really suggest that people should do that. Like, if you see a car, try to find the owner and try to get a story out of it. So the next thing I'm going to go over is this speed graphic, and just talking about gas and gear acquisition syndrome, stuff like that. Somebody said that I probably have that because I'm buying things that I think will make my photography better. And I think that is a valid point, that new things aren't going to make your photography better. But buying new gear and using it and realizing that it does make your life easier, or it does make your images better, I think that's obviously a good thing. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about this silly purchase that I made, because I got infatuated with a guy named Sandy. I forget his last name, but he's on Instagram. I'll show some of his pictures. But he shoots with a speed graphic, and he shoots with an Aero Ektar lens. And the Ektar lens is revered for its shallow depth of field because it's an f2.5 in large format. So I got kind of infatuated with his look and his shallow depth of field and the bokeh that his lens created. And it kind of got to my head, and this is where buying gear can turn negative, because I paid $150 for this speed graphic, and I paid around $650 for the lens, just because I was chasing that specific look. And I really wasn't looking at the lighting or the posing or the technical aspects that go into making a photo that he makes, and the years of practice and the years of fumbling around and making mistakes that he's went through to make that image. So I bought this camera and I took it out, and it's just incredibly soft. It's hard to hit focus. Just learning a new camera overall is a pain in the butt. But I was just expecting these great images right off the bat, because I know what I'm doing. I know how shutter speed works. I know aperture, stuff like that. But you're not taking into account the years of practice that people put in to get those images. And that's where I got in trouble. And I think that's where I just need to be better overall, is just using the things that work for me and really mastering the cameras that I have. And I think that's the problem when it comes to gas and gear acquisition, is buying piece after piece of gear and not really using any one to master it. If you have two cameras, two different formats, you can use them every day. You can really pinpoint what makes them perfect for each situation, and you can master them. If you keep buying gear over and over and you use one day, one the other day, you're not really pinpointing your mastery on any specific camera, and that's where you're going to get in trouble. So I don't think it's a bad thing to buy gear, test it, see if you like it, and either return it or just sell it. But this was definitely a mistake on my part because I was just chasing a specific look, and that is a bad thing for me because I get obsessed and I try to find the perfect lens or the perfect camera, and I just end up blowing money. And I'm definitely going to sell the lens or return it. And I actually took apart the speed graphic a little bit, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to return it, but I might do a giveaway on my channel for this speed graphic. It doesn't come with a lens, but all you'd have to do is buy a lens and a lens board, and it would be a perfect camera to use, and I think that would be a cool giveaway to do on the channel. So that's kind of my opinion on gear acquisition and stuff like that, and my silly purchase that I made. So I'm looking forward to using these two cameras and really mastering them and not worrying about anything else. Editing photos, I'm perfectly fine with it. I edit every single one of my photos. If you're not editing your photos, you're doing something wrong, because the picture that you take is not going to be perfect right off the bat. If you send it into a lab, they're editing the photo. They're not giving you exactly what they get the first scan through. The last group of pictures that I've actually posted on Instagram were all color photos that I converted to black and white because I think they look better. And I'm for editing the photo however you want. There's tons of people out there that edit film photos to make them look like anything but natural, and I'm perfectly fine with that. It's an artistic medium. There's nothing wrong with editing digital. There's nothing wrong with editing film. Basically what I do in the edit is mess with the highlights, mess with the shadows, make sure my black levels are correct, and then I just fix any colors that might seem a little bit off. And that's pretty much all I do, but I'm perfectly fine if you want to make red, green, yellow, blue, blow out your highlights, wash down your highlights, anything like that, low contrast, high contrast. It's your photo. You can do whatever you want. So I'm going to talk about some just basic mistakes that I've made since starting shooting film. And at the beginning, I took way too many photos. I kind of got started with that because I watched Willem Verbeek, stuff like that, and he would do these photo walks where he would just take random pictures. And at the time, I didn't know that he was just taking photos for that specific photo walk. I thought he was taking those photos because they're like a masterpiece of a photo. So I would go around and take random photos, and I didn't really know what I was taking photos of, but I was just trying to imitate like the Willem Verbeek style, and that's really not the way to go, because I was just blowing through film, going through so many rolls, taking pointless photos that didn't have any meaning to them. So I've been a lot better about just limiting the photos I take and just really knowing specifically, because I scan everything myself. Before I take the photo, I'm like, am I going to want to develop this, process it, develop it, and scan it? And it makes you think twice about the photos that you want to take. So another mistake I made was thinking that my photos were better just because it was on film. I maybe posted a lot of photos, just photos with no meaning, no emotion tied to them, no story, and just hashtag it with Kodak or Portrait 400 or something like that. And I was just expecting people to like it because it's on film. And that's definitely not the case. One thing I've learned in the year is to appreciate photos from all formats and all mediums, and I definitely follow a lot more people recently that shoot all digital, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're not better than someone shooting digital because the process takes longer or the process is harder. Everyone's the same. If you put two photos side by side and one's film and one's digital, people are going to gravitate towards the one that can bring the most emotion out of them. So don't think you're better because you shoot film. So the chemistry that I use right now is Ilfotec HC. It's what I've been using for all my black and white stuff. It lasts forever. It's super concentrated, so you only have to use like anywhere from 10 milliliters to 30 milliliters, depending on what you're developing. It creates good results. You can push and pull pretty much any speed you want. It's really great. For my fixer, I use Photographer's Formulary. You basically mix this with 3 liters of water and it makes a gallon, and then you just separate it into 4 different liters, and each one probably fixes 30 to 40 films. It's super easy. Everything is 4 minutes, and if you're shooting something like T-Max, you got to do around 6 minutes. But yeah, it's super nice. For color, I use Cinestill C41, and then for E6, I use Film Photography Projects, their little kit that they have. So I did actually purchase a sous vide to help with my heating of the chemicals and keeping everything stable, and I think that's a good purchase if you have the extra money, but it's certainly not something that you need for sure. Okay, so this is going to be like some of my favorite photographers, podcasts, things like that. So some of the podcasts that I've been listening to is Contact Sheet with Kyle McDougall. It's really informative. They're anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. Really good. He talks with a lot of different people, males, females, everything. Great podcast. He's a great person. Subscribe to his channel and subscribe to the podcast. Analog Talk. It's like the OG of podcasts. They interview a lot of different people, a lot of people that you probably haven't heard of. So I think that's a really good podcast to listen to. Matt Day just started a podcast with his archiving film and stuff like that. I've only listened to around 1, but it was really good. And if you're a fan of Matt Day, you're going to love that. I was on a podcast recently, the Chris Carl podcast. He interviews a lot of people that are popular on Instagram and stuff like that, as well as some other people, but a lot of the smaller rising in popularity Instagram photographers are going to be on that, and I think that's really neat. Love Head House and Open Curtain I found because I was looking for Brian Scoopmott interviews, and I've been listening to them a lot, and they're really good. So I definitely recommend those. The only 3 photo books that I have are Her Land by Anthony DeCaro. I came across his Instagram because I was looking at large format work, and I think it's really, really great. He sent me this. I actually missed out on the first run, but he sent me this really nice copy because he liked my work as well. But the images in it are really, really good. It's all black and white, and it's shot on large format, I believe, and 35 millimeters, so go check him out if you're interested in that. I picked up Willem Verbeek's photo book because if I wasn't, so I probably wouldn't have bought this unless it wasn't mostly him that got me into shooting film, because I watched a ton of his videos at the start, and he just really got me into this whole film photography thing, so I wanted to support him and buy his book. And it's a really nice book, and it has this cool cover, and I just think it's really nice overall, and I think it's important to support the people that either got you into something or like pushed you further in your career. And then the last one I bought, this is the first one I bought, is Fred Herzog Modern Color. I just think this is like a really good book to look at before you go out and shoot if you want to get quickly inspired. It's color and black and white, and just a lot of the pictures are just some amazing street photography and things like that. A lot of people have this book. It's really popular. It's on Amazon, you can buy it, but I highly recommend that for really good inspiration. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is my favorite photographers, both on YouTube and not on YouTube. The first one I'm going to talk about is Vince Perry. I first discovered him when I was researching the RB67, and he had a video on there talking about that and how he just got into film. I think this was around a year ago, maybe something like that, but super cool dude. We've had plenty of conversations on Instagram, on YouTube, and you're gonna notice a lot of these people I message and I consider them my friend now, and that's awesome. I think that's the beauty of social media and the beauty of YouTube in general, is that you can make these connections with people all across the world and really gain a nice little relationship with people that you would normally never meet. But Vince Perry, he's a portrait photographer, super cool. He shoots with an RZ, and he does a lot of fashion shoots and things like that. And I'm sure if you watch my channel, you've at least heard of him, but a lot of his photography is great, and he makes really good, well-produced YouTube videos. Bray Hunsinger, I think is his last name. I just call him Bray because that's a cool name, but he makes these really good hiking. He lives in Washington and up in the Northwest, but he makes these really great hiking videos where he shoots landscapes, and he is just a super chill, super cool dude. And I actually found him when I was researching the Pentax 6.7, and it popped up with his one of his videos shooting in the Northwest. And his videos are just full of humor and super chill, good music, and really good hiking footage as well. Barney McGuire is another one of my favorites. I found him on Instagram a long time ago, and his portraits with the Pentax 6.7, super dreamy, super informed as well. He does videos on studio work and shooting portraits, and he's super young and super crazy smart when it comes to lighting and studio work and things like that. So if I ever get back into studio work or anything like that, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on his videos. Next up is Kyle McDougall, and he is a great filmmaker and photographer from Canada. I think his main job is actually a filmmaker, which is really inspiring because that's what I wanted to do at the very beginning of my, I guess what I wanted to do when I was little. But he makes very technical and informative videos on things like latitude, spot metering. He just did a video on ProMist filters, like I mentioned, so definitely check him out. Next is Matt Day. Everyone knows who Matt Day is. I watched a ton of his videos to learn how to develop and process and just shoot things that matter. And yeah, he's just like one of the OGs in the YouTube world, and I think that anyone can benefit from watching some of his videos. And I'm sure if you watch my videos, you probably watch his videos. Linus and his camera is a photographer who does more conceptual photography. Every time something pops up of his, it's a shoot that he put a lot of time and a lot of effort into. It's really colorful work, really imaginative work, and he also makes YouTube videos detailing those specific shoots, which I think is super cool. And he also has a film lab that he manages and runs by himself. So if you're interested, send him your film and he'll develop it for you. Logan Baker is a guy that I just came across, and he makes super well shot videos, and his photography is just on par with that as well. One of the reasons why I included him is just because his videos was so well produced and very well shot, and I don't think he's uploaded in a while, but I wish he would because I really enjoyed the couple videos that I watched. Samson Arnett Ruffley, I don't know if that's how you say that, but he is a guy from the UK, I believe, and he makes portrait videos with the Pentax 6.7 and shoots a lot of different film stocks. And his video, I watch a lot of people that they just have really chill personalities and chill demeanors, and I think that he just kind of goes along with that. Todd Coral is a guy that I just found recently. He's a large format guy. He shoots 8x10, 4x5. He has a lot of different videos about like restoring old cameras, shooting 8x10 on the street, things like that. But I'm looking forward to a lot of videos that he shoots in the future because I'm looking to shoot more large format, and that's pretty much all he shoots exclusively. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed that Q&A and things that I've learned throughout my first year in film photography. I hope I didn't talk too much, and I hope I didn't ramble too much, and I hope you at least learned one thing out of it. Like I said, I will timestamp everything so you can kind of pick and choose what you want to listen to or what you want to hear. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about anything, let me know. You know I'm always going to answer. If you have any comments or you want to start a discussion down below about something that I mentioned, please do. I'm always down for a deep, meaningful discussion about anything that has to do with photography or life in general. So again, thank you so much for the support. I have a couple videos that I have lined up that I want to do. One is comparing large format and medium format. And I'm hoping next week that I get around to doing the photographer analog artisans episode finally, and you guys will not want to miss that. So again, thank you for the support. I look forward to making the next one, and I'll see you then.